So I'm quilting with QBOT, and inevitable things happen in your sewing room. So maybe you run out of bobbin, maybe your thread on top breaks, but something happens where you need to stop your QBOT and back up. So what you're going to do is you're going to stop QBOT while it's moving. So I've stopped it, and QBOT says continue, %restart, or end. Continue would be if I just like to continue what I'm doing and keep quilting. So I could push the go button and things will happen. Notice here it says 91% done. Well, when I stop this time, now it says 92, I'm going to stop, and my cursor is on continue, but I'm going to navigate to %restart. Once I'm at %restart, QBOT is still engaged until I press the go button. Now when I press the go button, the machine will move freely without QBOT being engaged. Now depending on where my thread broke, maybe it broke 20 inches back, maybe it broke 2 inches back. I need to back up. So I'm going to navigate down because the cursor is on the 92. And I'm going to navigate down to, let's say, 90%. It says set restart point at 90%. That's what it's saying here. So when I press the go button, it's going to remind me to raise my needle because some of us always quilt with our needle down. So raise the needle and press go to hover. Hover is not in quilting mode. The machine will not quilt. What the machine will do is it will navigate through the design. So when I press go, you'll notice that it's scanning to find that % inside of QBOT. In order to get to 90%, you'll notice that the % will go to 89 because you can't get to 90% right at 90. You need to back up 1%. So for a slight second, it will go to 89%, and then when it reaches 90, it will begin to move. There will be a slight pause at that 90% saying, this is what you asked for. It's less than a second or about a second pause. Then what you're going to do is you're going to watch your fabric down below. And when the foot and the needle are just before, and when I say just before, about a ½ inch, maybe even an inch to where you want to begin sewing, that's when you're going to press the stop button on QBOT. And the reason you're going to do it early is QBOT has runoff. It continues to move once you push that stop. It is a computer with a processor, so it doesn't stop instantly. It has a little runoff. So it's still thinking. Now this is a really large edge-to-edge design that I am backing up on. The thread ran out. So I'm able to do that because QBOT is still on. Now, notice that the scaling % is 112. So while it's thinking, I'm going to give you a little bit more information. When it ran out of thread, it ran out last Wednesday, a week ago. I was leaving. I was taking a flight out. So I shut QBOT off and didn't worry about it. And when I came back into the office today, I rescaled the design to 112%. And I backed up to the % that I needed. So I rescaled the design to 112%. I fine-tuned my start point to be exactly where the start point is on the design that's on the fabric. This is one of the reasons that I don't cut my thread. See, it's at 89%, looking for 90. But this is one of the reasons I do not cut my top thread where I start, because that way I can tell where I need to go back to. So it's hovering through the design, and I'm watching the design and looking to see, well, where do I want it to start again? And I'm getting close. So once I get to close to where I need to be, that's when I'm going to press the stop button on QBOT. Okay? Now, remember, if you started the designs with the bungee, you want to put those bungees back on. There is no reason that you need to fine-tune when you do % restart unless the carriage is bumped, the bungees aren't put back on, or your frame is bumped. Everything should be in the same position. Nothing should be moved. So it says hovering stop. If you want to quilt, that's when we're ready to go, you would press go because the cursor's on quilt. If you didn't back up far enough, you might go to % restart and back up a little more. End would be, you know what, I'm done. And hopefully you don't get to that point when you're doing % restart. You want to go to quilt and press the go button. And now it says fine tune. I can see that I'm right on the same stitching line that I was on. So I'm going to push quilt, let it go. I've pulled my thread up to the top. I'm ready to go. And now it's going to begin quilting. Watch for an up-and-coming video on % restart or thread running out when you've left your machine and it's gone all the way to the end, because there are tips for doing that also. So maybe you might want to practice your % restart, but it's not as hard as what it seems to be. So watch the video again and again until you get what you're needing to understand out of the video. Happy quilting, everybody!